Hello and welcome to Real Tea Podcast. We are your hosts, Ted Bogert and Benjamin Maynard. This podcast is a way for us to talk about different things going on in the real estate community and world, help consumers that are out in the public, and trying to help find a talented real estate agent and what to watch for whenever they're hunting. And also for real estate agents to, kind of broaden their spectrum of what they might expect to find in the real estate world and just some normal tea.
Normal tea.
Normal tea.
Is that why we're here? This is good.
Yeah. So just a dish about all the things. Now, of course, we're specific to Orlando, Florida. So we run into a lot of different things. But
sure
Ted,
do.
why don't you tell us about yourself?
Well,
I know a lot about
I
you.
know you do. Gosh, just Google me. I'm Ted Bogert. I am many things, but I'm a lender, mortgage broker. Also have a podcast, which we're not going to talk about on this podcast. I'm joking. The TED Show. It'll be year number 8 in August.
Wow.
I can't believe it. I also am in the insurance world and in the AI world and the crypto world. I've got
I was going to
lots
say
of
you
worlds.
just launched a crypto.
I did just launch T8020 token. It is phenomenal. The growth's insane. And that is a whole nother world that never thought I'd ever be in. But I grew up mostly in Orlando, so I'm very familiar with the Orlando scene on so many different levels. And I'm very excited to be here with Ben and to talk about the tea in real tea. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Happy to do this podcast with you. We've been talking about it for a little while.
We have, and you're the whole podcast studio is amazing.
Yeah.
Everything that you all have put together is awesome. And I love the whole vision of this. I think it's going to be incredibly popular as we dance around and talk about situations. And then we get all the people asking if it's about them.
Yeah. We do talk about tea.
We do.
That happens, but it is not necessarily specific to any person.
That is
I
correct.
think it's more just situations that we've experienced.
But if you think it's about you, it is.
Yeah.
Just for the record. So
Although I always think you're like talking about
I
me.
know. How is that
And then
even
I'm like,
possible?
what did I do wrong?
When I did my last video, what did you do wrong? How could you possibly think you did anything wrong?
I don't know. I'm always worried I'm going to hurt somebody's
Oh my
feelings.
God,
It's just
never.
how
I don't think you're capable of it.
But yes, thank you for commenting the space. It is our podcasting studio in our Pixel headquarters. We are excited to be debuting it for the Real Tea podcast. All of our agents at Pixel have access to this studio as well. We absolutely love it. It's very bright, very airy.
Yes.
There's a window that you can't see behind here, which I don't know if that's great for podcasting, but it definitely helps with the view.
I love it. I think the setup is great. Kudos to whoever your technical engineer was or is.
Shout out to my husband.
There
Edward
it
Jones.
is. I figured I'd let you give that shout out. But I love the concept of this. I feel like a lot of real estate people try to do podcasts and they tend to be, in my opinion, tend to be very so technical and stuffy and stiff.
Yeah.
And that's the exact opposite of either one of us. And so I'm really excited to be able to have a conversation about things and really talk real world language instead of some scripted insanity.
And I mean, the big thing with it is it's not necessarily to bring people down, but it's to like talk about a situation.
Yes.
And somebody to be like, oh gosh, I do that. I didn't realize that was something wrong that I'm doing. Maybe I should look to expand it. Or even like, the real world clients that are out there that don't know what we do
Right.
on a daily basis. Like, I've had clients be like, oh, you just open doors for me. No, I'm doing a lot more than that behind the scenes.
They have no idea.
And then they just see this big chunk of change that is on their final Alta that, we get all of this money, which most of the times, goes away with fees and real estate expenses and like all of that stuff. It's crazy how little some agents get.
It is, which is something I know we're going to be talking about. Will be a theme throughout the podcasts because they really are challenged right now. A lot of realtors that I speak with are fluid, meaning that they aren't really sure if they're at the right place, but they're not really sure they want to make a jump to anywhere. because there's lots of shiny objects out there. And unfortunately, it's very hard to maneuver through. Are we allowed to swear on this? Is this G-rated?
Yeah, we'll rate it. We'll rate it PG.
Okay. Yeah, they have a hard time maneuvering through the bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult for them because they hear the same promises over and over again. And for most of them, unfortunately, they get overpromised and underdelivered. And so that is a major theme right now in the real estate world.
And that was one of the reasons for Pixel, why we created Pixel, was just we were dealing with moving down here from Ohio. I've been licensed in Ohio, Virginia, Maryland, DC. So I practiced all over. And then I moved down here to open a brokerage for another company, and they pulled the plug a month after I moved here.
Insane.
And so I said, you know what? I believed in some of the things that they were trying to do, but I wanted a completely different style of brokerage. And so we started Pixel. And, I come from a big Southern family. It's always helping neighbors. My dad will give you the shirt off his back if you ask him for it. But that's kind of how I was raised and grew up. And it's just the real estate world out there is so greedy in some cases. with different brokerages and everything that Pixel's a fresh new. We want to provide all of the tools without compromising on the costs. And so we have one of the lowest costs in Florida. We tie with another company, but we offer more services and tools for our agents, coming in at $5,250 a year cap. So that's a pretty big, people hear that and then they don't believe me. And they're like,
well, I think that's the challenge, because I've seen you present and talk about it. And I think, unfortunately, because they've been jaded for so long and told something and then it didn't come to fruition, they're skeptical of what you offer, and they're waiting for the other shoe to drop, or they're waiting for you to show them the tiny print with the asterisks.
No asterisks
at all.
Especially when we hear, the fees, like the fee structures in real estate companies right now. It's what are you paying that? I met with an agent last week that told me that, she had Lofty, and that her 30-day trial was coming up, and it's the company's CRM. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, they're making you pay a monthly fee for your CRM. I know how much these things cost on the back end per agent, and what they were charging. I was just baffled. I'm like, why are they profiting off of a tool that you should be getting from a brokerage?
Right.
And that's where I'm coming from, because I'm in real estate 8 years, different states, and I've done the big box brokerages. I did the small ones. I did the boutiques, which were not a boutique. Everyone
That's
says
right.
that.
We should talk about the boutique name.
Yeah, well, I don't know. When I hear boutique, it's more centralized to like, oh, we do, winter garden area, big houses.
Right.
That's kind of boutique. It's like they just focus on a kind of a niche, different business. We're small, but we won't always be small. We'll be big one day, and we're growing every day. We're getting new agents.
You are.
And having the open door policy with my agents, I think I never want to get rid of that. I don't care if I have 2,500 agents or 2 agents. I want that door to always be open, because it helps us grow. I can't tell you how many things that we've changed because agents come to me and they're like, we don't like this, can we do anything about it? And I'm like, well, it's a good thought. Like, if it's a valid concern and they want to change it, then, it does make sense, then we'll go ahead and do it.
Sure.
Like, for example, one of our first agents that came on, our model used to be 50-50 commission split with a $5,250 a year cap, no fees other than E&O. That's it. And the agent was like, hey, I really struggle at the beginning of the year getting started, even though our caps reset when they start, but he had joined around the first of the year. So unfortunately, a lot of fees are due then, like MLS fees and all that stuff. Yeah. Depending on which area of Florida you're in. And he just said to me, can we please adjust to 70-30? Would you be willing to do that? And it was new enough. I only had like 3 agents at the time. And I was like, you know what? Let's examine it. Let's see what's doable. And, the original model was based off of, if you sell one house, at an average rate, you'll cap. And
Correct.
then 100% yours the rest of the year. That was what that model was built on. That's why it was 50-50. But I was like, if it takes them 2 houses to do it, that's fine.
Right.
And in most cases, they still hit their cap on their first. Like, I've 12 agents now, so most of them hit their cap on their first sale, and then it's 100% theirs the rest of the year, and a modest $220 a year E&O fee that resets on your anniversary date. So it's it's an interesting concept, and people are nervous by it, and
they are. I think they're nervous again because
I'm
they
12.
just.
No.
You're 12, yes.
Every time somebody sits down with me, they're like, "I'm sorry, you're the owner," and I'm like, "Well, yeah," and I'm like, "Let's get it out of the way. I'm 35. I'm not 16." So
well, you have a baby face, so they don't, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
You'll love that later. Trust me.
I don't mind it now. I just don't like it.
I think people are just skeptical again, like
Yeah.
we talked about. They're just they've been burned, and so they want to believe you, and yet they have just been told the same thing over and over again so many times, and then it never comes to fruition. You offer this plan that is so attainable out of the gate that it seems too good to be true.
Yeah. And that's what I tell everyone, because they'll come to me and they'll be like, "Oh, well, what's your lead gen, or what's this, what's that?" And I tell them straight up, I focus more on the natural ways to get leads, and I've had success from it, from helping agents learn how to tap into their niche markets. Obviously, you got to be willing to put in the work yourself in the end, but
Right.
if, you're struggling and, you get 100 leads, but none of them pan out to be anything, are they really worth it?
Let's talk about leads for a minute. Leads are this big thing that I feel like a lot of realtors think are important,
Mm-hmm.
and they make moves from brokerage to brokerage because the leads that they got at brokerage A didn't pan out. So they're hoping, for whatever reason, that brokerage B is going to have great leads. And then they realize it's not any different between A and B. Talk about the leads, your lead gen thought process.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day when I first started out, which is not that long ago, 8 years, but I had signed up for some, lead generation systems outside of my brokerage that didn't really produce anything. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to a different brokerage where they're offering leads. Right. I'm not going to say the company's name, but they're a pretty big one. And they promised me like, oh yeah, you get all these leads. And, they took I think it was like 50% if they gave me the lead.
Yes.
And I was like, you know what? I'm getting started. That's fine. And they would give me all these leads, and I would call them. I would do everything right. I would, but sometimes it was just a person being like, oh, I was just curious about the house. I wanted to see it.
Correct.
I'm not looking to move anytime soon. And, I'd throw them in my CRM and I'd keep it active. They would unsubscribe.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
I also signed up for Zillow back before they did the new thing that they're doing. I forget what it's called.
Flex.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Flex because they take 50% and then the brokerage takes another percent, and so then the agent's left with like peanuts.
Right.
So I don't think that model is good for real estate agents, especially new ones that are starting out, because there's so many startup costs and everything that go into it. But I did Zillow when you could buy a share of like a zip code, and the zip code was it was in Ohio, it was in Westerville, which is where I lived at the time. It was very easy for me to manage, but it was. I think it ended up being like $8,000 for 6 months. Yeah. And you're locked into a contract. So if you cancel it, you can't. They'll charge you that full amount anyways.
That's correct.
And I had 3 calls a month out of it. And then only one turned into a viable sale. And I made $9,500 in commission. And I was on a 50-50 split. So I actually lost money on that Zillow thing,
right? Because
I did not produce enough, even though I was doing everything right. I met with a lot of those clients that I got through Zillow, but then they wouldn't get approved. There was one lady, broke my heart because she was a very sweet lady. She wanted a home and she said, no, I want this house. She was older. She was
by older you mean my age?
Older.
Oh, much older than that.
She was wanting this new home, and it wasn't new. It was just a little ranch style home, and she was a renter and had been for a very long time. So she didn't have any equity or anything like that. And so I got her in touch with a lender and several lenders and just couldn't get her approved. And, and it broke her heart. But I was like, let's get you to a counselor to try and work on how we can make that happen. The house was gone, obviously, in like a week because this was during the good old days.
Oh, the good old days.
Quick. But yeah, she was a rare case of Zillow where she kept working with me. Unfortunately, did not ever. Able to get her
one day I
stuff.
would love for us to do a show. One of our podcast topics be about leads in general, because I actually am a firm believer that AI is going to eradicate the majority of these lead gen companies that are making a gazillion dollars off realtors, and realtors are going to have the tools to do it themselves.
Yeah, like Lofty. We just switched over. They have an AI generation that does special ads,
awesome.
the targeted ads and they'll weed out all of the ones that are just the looky-loos. And so we're excited to be launching that in the next 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
It's been a big thing. And
Lofty I've worked with, and Lofty, those leads, when they're set up properly, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
They're really good.
We're excited to get it going. Even the website is like amazing.
Yeah.
Like I've been on KV Core websites. Terrible. Like they look like they're from like 2014 and they're so clunky and messy.
The clunky is what's difficult because realtors are in the mood to sell. You've got a million other different things on your plate. And the last thing you want is a lead source that you're paying money to be difficult to utilize or maneuver through. And that's really what I think a lot of it comes down to. People are trying to figure out how to generate. Are you a believer? I really didn't mean to completely take over this interview, but are you a believer in primarily leads? Are you a old school guy? When you're talking to your agents, what's your number one thing as far as helping them grow their business?
Yeah, so what I've learned over the years, just myself, is the natural leads are the better way to go. Mm-hmm. So even if you have like family members, friends, church people, like whoever you have in your realm, everybody has the potential to get you business. And so I explain that to all of my agents that come in, and then we examine how to tap into that. Mm-hmm. So how are we going to advance your network and get you more known out there and get people talking about you? For example, in DC, went to this hairstylist, very small salon, very cute, offered to purchase the water and put the little sticker on it. And that was so successful. I was able to get clients out of that.
That's awesome. That's old school.
They would go, "Oh, who's this?" And if it was my hair person, he was like, "Oh, that's my client. He's a real estate agent. He's really great. Really cares about his clients." And that's the other thing is care. You
Agreed.
have to be real with clients, and you have to be genuine with them. If you're just reading from a script, or you're, kind of short with them and just trying to get them to the closing table, they're not going to refer you because they're going to realize that. They're going to notice that you're just there for the money and the payout, which, right. I mean, yeah, of course we're there to get paid. Like who doesn't want to get paid for the work that they're doing? But you could put quality and care into your work and stuff.
I think one thing that I won't say boutique. I think one thing that brokerages, unique brokerages, really, if they could figure out how to do it, would thrive is the follow-up CRM system, because statistically, I forget what the NAR stat is, but it's 70% or higher. Buyers and sellers don't hear from their agent after the transaction. And they're using someone, they're just not using them because they don't keep in touch with them. So you do all of this work up front and spend all of this time and this money and this effort, and you get to the closing and then you literally forget once it's over. There's no keeping in touch. There's no happy birthdays. There's none of that good stuff.
Yeah. And
I think that brokerages could really retain a lot of their business and get so much more referrals if they had a better follow-up
100%.
System.
And that's why I always encourage my agents to use our CRMs. Even KV Core had the ability to do that. it schedules automated emails, but I always say set a reminder for those important dates and send a personal touch.
Yes.
A text message, a email or something like that that's personalized and isn't just an automated thing going out. If you have all 200 people in there, it can get to be a lot, so some of it'll have to be automated. But at least they know that you're thinking of them because you took the time to put that information in. Might be an automated email, but it's automated specific to that person.
Correct.
So it's just that extra care of touch.
Yeah, and I feel like brokerages in general spend so much time on the upfront and nothing on the back end at all. No time. Maybe it's offered, but it's not stressed. And so the realtor is on to the next, how can I find my next deal? But they're not paying any attention to the database, or their sphere, which is just a gold mine.
Right. And I mean, it's challenging for agents too. I've noticed they don't get the proper training on their CRMs.
Correct.
Not just their CRMs. I know that there's agents that don't even know how to use showing time properly. We'll talk about that in a later episode. One of my big gripes about is showing time and how it's programmed incorrectly and everything. But these are things that can make not only the listing agent look bad, but the buying agent as well. But on the other end of that, the CRM, it's very much a complicated system at times. That's why I like Lofty so much, because this isn't a promo for Lofty, but it's a lot more user friendly. It does have those AI features built into it, where it'll even have a conversation with someone.
Yeah, that's amazing.
If they're on your website and collect information and make it seem like they're talking to a person, and that's not to be deceitful for the consumers watching out there. It's just so that we as real estate agents can help serve you the best that we can. The more information we have, the better we're going to be able to help you and address what you're looking for, and not show you, a 5-bedroom house when you only want a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Right.
So, stuff like that is very crucial in real estate, and information gathering, and then keeping in touch with those people as well. And that's been my drive with my agents, is how are you going to naturally find leads?
Yes.
A lot of them I've had success with. Nick is one of my
we love
one
Nick.
of my favorite agents. I love all of my agents very much. But Nick was one of the first people that ever came on, and he was in another big company, and he's like, how can I came to me and said, how can I get these listings on my street because they're going with everyone else? And I'm like, well, do you talk to them? And he's like, yeah, all the time. And I said, do you talk about real estate? And he goes, no. I was like, well, throw in some real estate. And it was all him. Like, he did all the work. I just, it's helpful to have somebody there to point out things in your daily life that maybe you're not tapping into. I'll wear my not now, but like before, I'd wear my little name tag when I go out to like the store or, something, and they would be like, oh, you're a real estate agent. How's the market? I can't tell you how many times I've had that conversation come up, especially recently. But it's just the small things like that really can help lead to a client. And he did. He ended up with like 4 houses on one street.
He worked it.
Yeah, he did. And I mean, you were a big help, and Tammy at St. Lawrence Title was a big help, and we love all of our preferred partners and all that. It's been good, and my agents are absolutely thriving.
Your agents are thriving. I think you have come in. Has it been 2 years?
It has.
So it's been 2 years. You've come in, and I actually believe that people know you because you're out and about. Was that part of your plan when you got here? Because I met you at the Aura event, so you obviously got involved early, which was smart. But was the plan always to, all right, I've got to get my name out there. How's the best way I can do it? Because honestly, you have done that, and I feel like from my perspective watching, and then agents pay attention to that.
Yeah. I mean, definitely it's a strategy. Obviously, you got to get your name out there. You got to learn the environment that you're in. Real estate in Florida is definitely unlike anything I've ever done in any other state. It's like the wild, wild west out here.
It is, totally.
But it's fun. But the big thing with here was that I didn't have a foothold. I had a lot of friends in the area. That's why we moved here. We love the weather, but we didn't have a lot of professional connections. So for me, it was about professional connections, and it was about learning, how the Florida market operates. And I'm always one to say there's always an opportunity to learn something at every event that you go to.
Yeah.
Even me, even, you.
Yeah.
It's never, you're never too old to stop learning.
Nope, you're not.
And new experiences and meeting people. I mean, I absolutely love the story of the first time how I met you. I'll talk about that in a second. But no, really being involved in the community here was a stepping point to get into the market, being new to Orlando, not to real estate, but to Orlando. I had to learn how the market works down here, how the community works, throw myself into it, really get myself out there so that, yes, people can know me, but also so that those people can learn who I am and what I stand for, because I'm not a fake person. I will always tell
I do.
I will always tell it to you like it is, and I will speak my mind and my opinion, which gets me in trouble sometimes. But just being a genuine person. And also, the events are a great place to network, learn things. I don't think that we're ever too old to learn anything.
That's true.
And
he's looking at me when he said that.
No.
Just for the record.
Well, I mean, you probably learn these things at these events and everything.
I do. I learn something at every event.
Yeah,
every
so it's
single
great. And then one last thing before we cut for the day. So the story about how we met is one of my favorite stories because we went to the young professional, I think it's like 30 under 40 or something like that.
Yes, I think it was 30 under 40.
Yeah, so never sold a house in Orlando. I had clients at the time, but I didn't have any real estate agents yet because we weren't open to agents joining yet. We were just still getting the infrastructure built. But I was working with clients, and so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to this event. I was nervous, and so I was shy. I kind of kept to myself. And my husband was there, and we saw you when we first walked in. Beautiful sequins jacket. So if you don't know Ted, he always has these beautiful jackets and t-shirts, or not t-shirts, sorry, dress shirts, and crazy amazing shoes. I don't know. Yeah, you can't see them on the thing, but we had a connection because my husband stopped him and was like, "Hey, I really like your jacket." And you turned around and you're like, "Oh, well, thank you. I'm Ted Bogert."
I did.
And so, that was nice because at that event, it was very intimidating being in a room with people who a lot of them
I thought it was so
other.
brave of the two of you, not because you weren't already entrepreneurs, but because it was a completely new group of people, and walking into an association as large and as active as Aura is intimidating. It's intimidating for agents that have been members of Aura for years to go to an event. So for you all to be there was a huge step, I think, and brave. And then I loved the fact that when Edward said that, we could have an actual conversation, because I love meeting people and new people, and I didn't recognize either of you. And as you get to know me over the podcast, you'll know that I pretty much know the majority of people in town in some way, shape, or form. And so it was so great to talk to two people who really didn't know anybody else in the room. But
I didn't know the tea yet.
You didn't know the tea yet, but we developed such a great, close relationship after that. And that's just proof in the pudding of the fact that when you go to networking events, they may seem like it's going to be the same old thing over and over again, but there are opportunities to meet new people, and you never know who you're going to be able to grow a bond with or partner with in the future. So it's very good not to go to every single one, because that's exhausting, but go to ones that intrigue you or you think might be interesting. Realtors and lenders too, have a very difficult time understanding that those networking events are beneficial to them and have an opportunity, especially if you're in recruitment mode, you're trying to grow your agency and grow your spot in the Orlando universe. You have to get out and be seen. And you all have done an amazing job. at that, honestly.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks for being welcoming. I don't think we would we would be here in this position if it weren't for you and the others who believed in us in the beginning. So.
Absolutely. You make it easy.
We're excited for this new style of podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been great.
Yeah,
we had a great
talked a lot
conversation.
about us, but we'll get to some more, next week we'll get to what really grinds our gears and gets us some actual tea.
Ooh, some tea, some real tea.
Yeah. We don't drink tea though. He drinks champagne, and today I've got my not sponsored Starbucks drink.
You always have the strawberry drink.
Yeah, you can always spot me with the strawberry drink. So cheers to the new podcast.
Cheers to the new podcast.
And thank you to Edward Jones for helping.
Huge thanks to Edward.
I'm Benjamin Maynard with Pixel Realty, Principal Broker.
I'm Ted Bogert with Leader One Financial, Principal Mortgage Person in Orlando.
Make sure to follow us on all of our links below. And we look forward to a new journey with you guys.
Can't wait. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.